late March and we're in the middle of an early spring. But if you go far enough north, you can still find enough snow for dog sledding. I met with the Mushing Club at Michigan Tech.
We found out that it was the only collegiate mushing organization in the nation and perhaps in the entire world.
Then a stop at the Family Sugarbush to find out how maple syrup turns into maple sugar. Stick around, that's all tonight right here on Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
I traveled north toward the Keweenaw to the town of Tapiola. That's where you'll find Otter River Sled Dogs. But I didn't go there just for some dog sledding. I went to meet with some Michigan Tech students who are part of a group known as the Mushing Club at Michigan Tech, the only known collegiate mushing organization in the entire country, and possibly the world. And yes, it's right here in the UP.
The club started about 3 years ago with a fellow that had a dream about mushing and created sort of an internship program with Tom and Sally.
Basically, Otter River Sled Dogs is hosting the Mushing Club for Michigan Tech. And a young man came to me about 5 years ago, asked me if he could do an internship with me, wanted to be a musher. So we went through an internship where he learned how to care for the dogs and train the dogs and race the dogs. And then he went away on another internship for a couple years. When he came back, he wanted to run the Copper Dog 80. And when he came back after that, running that race with a group of students following him around, he told me he wanted to start a club and share this with as many people as he could. And so the following year he did all the paperwork, went to K-Day, got a whole list of about 60 people on an email list, and started the club.
He partnered with a girl from Minnesota named Claire Hendricks, and they got this club rolling. And in our first year, we got, a bunch of kids involved, bunch of people on the sled for the first time.
I've been in this club from the start. Adam Schmidt and Claire Hendricks were the start of the club, and they taught us a lot about mushing in general along with Tom. They got us on our sleds the first time. They were very attentive to making sure that us new people, knew what we were doing and were educated and knew how to take care of the dogs. We see dogs as pets a lot of times, and these are athletes, and you got to take care of them like athletes, but you also got to show them the love and the attention that any normal dog is going to have. It's like working with children. It's great.
Year 2, Adam and Claire ended up graduating, and the club continued to grow. And year 3, we're looking at about 275 people on an emailing list with 80 registered members on Michigan Tech's involvement link. Tom and Sally are some of the most genuine people I've ever met. There's very few people on this earth that would be this inviting to let 30 plus students out to their house every single week and just open it up for them. The doors are open. They tend to feed us a lot, and we try and give back by doing a lot of kennel chores and stuff like that. And Tom has been mushing for 30 years or something like that, and the stories and everything that he has are just incredible, and we've learned so much from him, and not just about mushing, about everything else too.
Tom and Sally are like our parents here at school, honestly. They share so many things with us. If it's not Tom telling us wonderful stories about, being in Alaska on the glacier and giving tours, it's Sally telling us about her farm animals and showing us the new ducks she got, and it's just like, it's like a family coming out here, and it's grown into such, like, it makes you sad to like know that we got to graduate at some point.
The racing program that we have, students come out to the kennel and it's somewhat of a friendly competition. And we combine that too with rookie mushers and experienced mushers and stuff like that. We like to get students in their first race, and we also like to get experienced mushers into bigger and longer races like that. And so we pack the winter full of races all across Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota.
That first year, about 12 students come out regularly, and we had 7 students that did their rookie races that first year. In the second year, we not only got 7 rookies through races, but 5 of the previous 7 rookies ran in races like the midnight run at the UP 200. And now this year, the third year, we did go to 2 races, and we got 4 students through their rookie races. We got 3 students through a 3-leg race at the Bear Grease 120, and we've come out of this year with a hardcore group of 20 to 25 students that call themselves mushers. And so it's really exciting to see these young folks start out and keep working at it until they just consider themselves mushers, and this is what they do other than schoolwork.
It's so calming to just, you finish up your homework, come out here, take a sled out on the trails, and I love teaching new people too. So this year I've gotten a lot of new folks out, and it's so much fun to watch somebody get on a sled for the first time. Just like they're so nervous and then they just pick it right up.
One of the cool things about the students is that there's actually only one Youper that's in the Mushing Club, Stephen, but we have Maddie from Las Vegas, grew up in the desert. We've got Griffin that he grew up in Chicago. He's just an out-and-out city boy. I would have voted him as the least likely to survive, and we've been slowly but surely turning him into kind of a Youper. And we've got kids from downstate, inner city kids. We've got kids from out in the Gaylord, suburban area, and so these kids hail from all over the place, and I'm really excited about that.
And I can't think of one person that was actually into mushing before joining the club.
Tech has a K-Day where they have all the clubs that have booths out, and it was just a blank table with a sign-up sheet, and Claire and Adam are there, and Claire had her dog there, and I was like, a dog? I was like, let me sign up for that. So that's kind of how it started, and then it slowly grew into this huge group of people that just really love coming out here.
I got involved with the club last year, so this is my second year. My dad saw an article about it, actually, so he's an MTU alumni, and told me about it. So I was like, I gotta try this out. So I found them at K-Day, which is just an event at Tech, where students can check out organizations, and they were easy to find. They had like 2 dogs there with them. So, I went up and got to meet the dogs and was like, yeah, this sounds fun. So I started coming out regularly, helping with the chores, scooping the poops, feeding, all that stuff. And then once the snow came, I got to get on a sled, and I remember getting put on for the first time. Everybody else had like somebody riding the basket, and they were like, no, just go by yourself. You'll do fine. You're natural. Like you do other winter sports like hockey, so you're good. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And they were right. I just picked it up naturally. I didn't know where I was going. I just let the dogs pull me. They knew what they were doing. And, I ended up figuring it out. It was a ton of fun. So I was like, I got to get into this, so I started getting on a sled as much as I could. Tom and Sally are wonderful. Oh my God. I'm so grateful that they have, supported this club, and that the founders of the club created this, because none of this would be possible without them. Sally, we refer to her a lot as our mush mom. She's always, making food. If I bring new people out and they're not wearing the right attire, she's always offering boots, gloves, jackets, socks, anything. She makes sure everybody's taken care of, is nice and warm, always teaching people the dog names. And Tom is really good about, getting people on a sled. He's gives really good tips and feedback in a really positive and enthusiastic way, which I love. It makes it really easy to pick up.
Everybody that's coming out here regularly to the kennel, upwards of 25 to 30 people who are, partaking in kennel chores and running sled dogs and stuff every week. They're putting in a ton of time, and a lot of us will get our homework done early on, before classes even start, do our classes so we can spend the whole night out here. And the way we market it to students is, if you want to run, just come out, have fun, help with kennel chores, listen to Tom tell stories. You can do that. If you want to get more serious, run dogs, maybe find yourself running the Copper Dog 150 or the UP 200, you can do that as well. It's supposed to be educational, right? In a normal sled dog setting, the way you would get into this is approach a kennel owner, and you'd have to, work your tail end off. A lot of persistence, dedication, patience, and stuff like that goes into trying to get into mushing. And we definitely try and preserve those core qualities, all the while making it more accessible for students.
It's not surprising to me to find that the first and only mushing club of this sort started and exists here in the Upper Peninsula. It's also not surprising to me that it's starting to spread, at least here in the UP. I talked with Abigail Marty about the club she started at NMU.
It kind of first all started because I went to school in the UP because of a dog sled race called the UP 200, and I volunteered at that race and I became obsessed with it, and that's one of the reasons where I started mushing. So I came up to NMU then. We had this really cool race, we should have a club, and then I found out that Tech had a club. I contacted Tom and the other mushers that were in the club and everything, and a bunch of the college kids, just so I could figure out more about it. And that's how we kind of started from there. We got around 30 people signed up, and then eventually we have a membership officially of around 60 already. Basically, our club's goals is to get new people into mushing, either running dogs here or getting experiences in other mushing areas. And so we want to get people into all aspects of mushing. There's so many different dog types and breeds and races, and that's what our goal is to just get people out there and trying the different dog sports that there are.
Found out that it was the only collegiate mushing organization in the nation and perhaps in the entire world. So that definitely enthused us, and we had a lot of more students wanted to join because of that. We're looking to broaden our spectrum even more and get out and do some other stuff. Tom has dreams of taking the club up to Alaska. In our first and second years, there was a group of students that actually went up to Alaska under the club's guidance and volunteered at the Iditarod sled dog race. Now we're kind of known as the mushing school, so it's a pretty neat thing.
They've got mushing classes at the University of Anchorage. It strikes me as kind of interesting. There's not one kennel in Alaska that will actually sponsor a group of students that want to become mushers. And I think it's really important for our sport to realize that it's only going to continue if we can continue to interest young people in following in our footsteps. After we hang it up or get too old to do it, I really am excited to see all these young people get involved with the sport in training and racing, and they have fallen in love with the group of mushers that they've met at the races, and I think the group of mushers that we hang out with at all these races have fallen in love with these students too.
It's maple syrup time here in the UP, so I stopped in for a visit with the Paul family in Trout Creek. I stopped in for the smell of boiling sap, for an inevitable taste of fresh maple syrup, some bluegrass, and to find out how this delicious maple syrup gets converted to delicious maple sugar.
So maple sugar, this is what we do with our maple syrup, or some of what we do with our maple syrup after harvest is ended. As you can see right now, we're boiling as we speak. And while we boil, we put into 50-gallon drums or 40-gallon drums in stainless steel, and we store it there until we have time to get around to doing whatever else we have to do with it. Right now, today we're making sugar. We are getting actually really close. We need this dial to get to 47, and the actual temperature of that would be 259 degrees. So we're getting real close right now. Once we're done boiling it, we're going to put it into a big commercial mixer that you'll see here in just a few minutes. So we just reached our temperature, our target temperature, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Okay. This is going to mix it, and as it's mixing, you'll see it'll start to steam, and that's just whatever liquid is in it is coming out. So if you look at it right now, it looks like it's starting to go a little bit grainy. So it's already starting to make its transformation. Now there's also different inert and invert sugars, and as you progress through the actual season of making the syrup, there's different inverts and inerts. Now the first half is suitable to making maple sugar. The other half you can make sugar out of, but it's just not as easy and doesn't turn out as right. This is all from the first early season syrup. A gallon of syrup makes about 7 pounds of sugar. On a good day, I can make 150 pounds of sugar roughly. And that makes a long, busy day. Yep, we're ready to pull it off here. So here we go. So we are now going to put this out and spread it out so this way it'll cool, and after that we'll should be ready for packaging pretty much. Now this sugar is still very, very hot at 150 degrees or so. Just want to cool it down as quickly as we can now. Now when it cools, it'll usually do what they call creep, so when you pour it up on top of each other, it'll just keep sliding down slowly. There you have pure maple sugar. So now the sugar is cooled, and we're going to go through the final process before it goes into the bag. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be sifting the sugar. All these kind of harder rocks of sugar are all going to get ground up, turned into the fine powder we have here. All right. Now you see there's still some down here. At the end, that'll just be for our own consumption. And then from there, it'll just go into the bags that we have and off to the market.
Now the Paul family doesn't make just delicious sugar and syrup. They also make beautiful music.
Sawgrass lays. The eagles fly and the otters play.